The Team Supreme podcast is brought to you by the voices of Jason Schomer and Yashar Coffee and produced by Matt Sewell, who is me. I am Matt Sewell. If you got a moment, leave a comment about the podcast or give us a rating or share with your friends. Enjoy.
I'm from New Jersey. He's from Iran. It's good enough for a podcast. We're Team Supreme.
I think now that I have kids now, it's easier to see that different age levels, you hit peaks of embarrassment in your life. I feel like my peak of feeling embarrassed all the time, and I don't know if it was because of hormones or whatever chemistry it was going on, around 6th grade when I was about 11 years old. Like, I couldn't even walk into a restaurant with my parents.
In 6th grade?
In 6th grade, and not feel that there's somebody in this restaurant looking at me going, what the hell is that kid doing here with his parents? How humiliating for him. That was the thought in my head. I couldn't walk into a mall because that was almost a guarantee that I was going to run into a friend of some kind. If they saw I hung out, like, not hung out, but to me, it was being with my parents meant like I hang out with my parents. So therefore, that I'm a loser because I'm with my parents.
So everything was cool, and then in 5th grade, and then in 6th grade, it was not cool anymore.
Suddenly, into 7th grade, I want to say was the peak where I just could not believe that anyone would not be making fun of me if they saw me with my parents or with my parents. That was it. I mean, that was the main thing. Apparently that was embarrassing for me, but I guess everything was back then at that age. I felt like everything embarrassed me. Do you feel like you guys had some sort of peak time?
Not that for me, it was my 20s.
Your 20s?
Yeah, when I drank.
You would feel embarrassed?
The day after. I found out.
Yeah, I think that's a normal thing.
Yeah, but like I was at it was like a family celebration for one of my cousin's companies had retired their debt or something. And I'm like 22, maybe 21 or 22. And open bar, like big, I mean, it was full party at this house, sprawling party. I got so drunk that I claimed to everybody that evening I had a conversation with the guys who was hosting the party. I had a conversation with his dead father.
Oh my God.
And I was telling people that at the party.
Oh, man.
And the next day, my mom was like, so, yeah, you were talking to the guy's dad? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah.
I feel like I've seen you in that state.
Oh, my God. That is the peak of embarrassment because you're like, what else did I do? What else have I said?
Well, you helped me find my dead grandfather's cash stash in his old place after that party, so it's worth it.
Oh, that's peak embarrassment for me. Also, probably a sign of some mild alcoholism at that stage, but it wasn't like I wasn't doing it like every night. But it was like a party. It was open bar when I'm 21 to 25. That's bad news for me. That was like
for most. Yeah,
it was like I'm not going to stop. It's free. It doesn't matter what it is. Shots, whiskey, top shelf, whatever it is. I'm fucking
embarrassment.
And
what about you, Yashar? Did you hit a peak?
Well, to this day it happens. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, I get extremely excited and the impulse takes over, and then I start making up stuff and saying shit that didn't really happen, and then the next day, I felt extremely embarrassed that I did that. I mean, much less now than in my 20s, because in my 20s, one time, I don't know what occurred to me that I made up these lies about getting into a car accident, the car going down the valley, and then the person I was telling it to a bunch of people who were dropping me off, explaining them why I don't have my car, and then they dropped me off, and I forgot that I had parked my car right across the place they were dropping me off. So they saw that and they realized I was lying. Yeah. And for like 2 to 3 weeks, I was feeling extremely embarrassed. So. Yeah.
So that was more coming from like embellishment that you realized you were doing that. too much until you got caught. I think I mentioned about a few podcasts ago that there was a camp story. I remember when my most embarrassing. I look back at when I was I went one summer at sleepaway camp. And I think it was between 7th and 8th grade. And I had some killer embarrassing moments during that summer. I think I talked about this the jet ski moment I had earlier, which was when I lost my bathing suit while riding a jet ski in front of the entire camp, which was crushing enough, right? But in that same summer, and the jet ski thing happened at the end of the summer, but in the same summer, there were 2 other events that happened. The first one was we had a dance at night, and it was so like they closed off like 2 tennis courts and put lights all around, and they had a DJ going on, and it was like I remember when you go to this camp, you bring like one nice outfit in case there is for whatever social event there's going to be, and there was a couple of them, and that was the first one, and it was like in the first week. And I was definitely on the chubbier side of things at that age. I was overweight, so I was pretty self-conscious about my weight and my body to begin with. So putting on anything nice to dress up for a dance, especially, was already a rough thing for me. And I want to say maybe like 10 minutes of me arriving into this thing, where the entire camp is just packed into these 2 tennis courts and with blaring music. No one's dancing yet. Everyone's just kind of staring at each other. Who's going to make this? Like maybe 1 or 2 kids dancing. And I'm just standing there, and this massive spider from a tree falls on my shoulder, crawls into my shirt, and my immediate instinct is to just tear my shirt off.
Oh my God.
Right? So I am standing there shirtless with all my flab just hanging out, smacking my tits because I can't, trying to get the spider off me that I'm still feeling all over my body.
You were a little bit overweight when you're younger, right?
I was a butterball, at that time I really was. And I was shorter and chunkier, and I'm probably sweating at the time. It was in the middle of summer, and just this entire camp now is staring at this chubby kid smacking his chest, freaking out. And I remember I just grabbed my shirt and ran back to the cabin or wherever we were staying. I never went back to the party. I just cried.
Oh man.
Maybe like 3 or 4 days later, I had this huge crush on this girl that was going to the camp. And I'm walking back from whatever activity I was doing, and she's sitting there with 2 of her friends in the field, and I see her, and this is the mind of a 12-year-old or 13-year-old. It's like, I'm going to impress her by running and jumping over her, right? I'm going to just run. She's right in my path. I'm going to run, jump over, turn around, and go, hey, or whatever I'm going to do, right? and I do this, and in mid-jump, I ripped the biggest fart you could believe. It just came out of me in midair. Shit. The embarrassment hit me before I even hit the ground, because I remember I actually tumbled to the ground because I felt that, oh my God, that didn't just happen. And I looked up and I looked her right in the eyes, and she goes, that's disgusting. She had an English accent. She goes, that's disgusting. And I just ran back to my cabin and cried. Never talked to her the rest of the summer. That was like 2 of the 3 major embarrassing moments of my life. Is all in the same summer.
Damn.
How about that?
Solid. I'm trying to think of youthful embarrassment when I was younger. Not really too. Oh, you know what? Here's one. When I was in college, I was in high school, I would do, forensics debate, basically.
Okay, not murder scenes.
No.
Is that the same word?
Yeah. We had a forensics class. We had a coroner, and no.
Yeah.
that bit was too long to set up. No, it's basically like, debate class, but they also had interpretation events where you and a scene mate would read a scene from a play. So you're acting, but you're not acting, you're reading it. And you're both facing forward. You have a person with you. You're both facing forward. And I was really good at it. Because it was acting. And in high school, I was a good actor in the school in high school. And when I would I would win a lot of these competitions, or I'd place a lot with various people. And there's this one competition, and I was with, everybody was like, you've got to do solo, which is like a monologue basically. And I was like, I don't want to do it. The teacher and they all put me in it, and I didn't learn my lines at all. At all. And you have to have it memorized. You can't just read it. Like you haven't.
So what was your game plan there?
My game plan was I got about 4 every time I did the competition. I would get it 5, and there's judges and everybody there and all the other competitors. I would get 5 lines in, and I'd go, I don't know. I don't remember my scene.
That was that.
Man.
Everybody would like their jaw would be dropped, and I had nightmares about it because I was like, it was so embarrassing. At the time, I'm like, whatever, it's not a big deal. I'll just fucking fumble through it. That's how, like, my ego was huge.
Right.
But when it came to it, and I had to perform, and I didn't know what I was doing, it was like my skin, I could sweat. It was just like, it was so brutal.
I feel like I know what you did. That feeling of like you think you're gonna be fine, and you realize in that moment
that you're not at all.
No.
And all the judges, the judges would come up. They're like, I'm really disappointed. It sounded like the scene was going to be excellent. You started so strong, and I don't know what happened. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened. And that's the last time I ever like half-assed anything like that again. It was that feeling of like, you don't know what you're doing, and you have to bullshit your way through it. It was so rough. So rough.
Jeez. You sure you got to have something from...
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say I remember when I was like very young, they enrolled me at this karate class, and I was supposed to learn this form and do it. And I practiced really hard, and I was really good at it. And then in the middle of the exam, as they were testing me, right in the middle of the form, the kata, I forgot. And everybody who went up before me, they did really well. And I was the one who just like, I couldn't finish. And I remember that was extremely embarrassing.
So
yeah.
Being in front like that, you just stopped right there.
I just stopped in the middle, and then I looked around, and then the sensei was like, it's okay, just bow and leave. But they were like the parents of all of the kids who did really well.
Oh, they're all just standing and watching.
Yeah, exactly. My mom was there only. My dad wasn't, but it was a very, very embarrassing moment. Like,
Well, we've all seen those moments too, right? When you see all those kids have those. I mean, I remember even seeing that with kids, like going up and whether it being a report or something, and having that thought of he's gonna remember that forever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, moments of embarrassment, like plenty of embarrassing moments has happened to me in the stand-up comedy scene where
you must.
Yeah.
That's got to be a whole other level.
Some of them were like, I remember there's this one small shitty theater. It's right above that the dry cleaner store on Sunset and La Brea.
This is great free advertising for them right now.
I've been.
Have you been there? I mean, I don't know why, but for some reason, people who work there or they manage it and all, they're just disorganized and a bunch of assholes. But when I was just fresh off the boat, I just came to LA. I had no idea. One day I was like reading all of these notices on Casting Network, or what was that? One of the casting networks. And I saw they have like an open audition. And I didn't know what type of audition it was. So I went to work, and then at around 6 or 7, I drove and went there, and they had like auditions for like improv acting. And I had never taken improv acting. I went up there and made an ass of myself. And it was really like, imagine doing improv with no preparation. Like you don't even know what yes and is. And I failed miserably. And the guy who was like seeing the actors, he was like, to everybody, he was like, yeah, that's good. But when I did it, he was like, jeez.
I don't think you can put a number on the number of bad improv scenes that I've been.
Oh, that has its own embarrassment category. I mean, we've all done improv in this space here, right? I mean, and I feel like, I mean, those those moments where you're like, oh my God, I have how much more time before this thing gets called? And usually, and for people who don't, or who are listening who don't know, for the most part, usually when there's an improv comedy show or whatever you're doing, there's somebody behind the lights waiting when the time is about right for the show to be over. They're waiting for the big laugh to hit the lights to end the show, because there is no set line. Everything's being made up. And one of the first years I was out here too in LA, I did a show at Improv Olympic on Hollywood, which isn't there anymore. And it was a late night show. There was probably about 10 people in the crowd, but there could be one person in the crowd. When you're having that show that is so just humiliating and so bad. Well, that's what this one was doing. And what we didn't know was that, because the show was supposed to go about 25 minutes, half hour, we got to about 35 minutes. And we're still going, and we're just waiting for these lights to go out. We didn't know that the person who was running the lights left to go smoke weed in the alley with somebody.
Oh, man.
Right? So there's literally nobody at the switch, and we're just waiting for the switch. And that thing just kept going and going. And then people one by one just started getting up and leaving right in front of you, because they're right there. They're like 5 feet in front of you, getting up and leaving. Oh God, that was just, nothing's worse than dying on stage, whether it's stand-up or improv. It's just,
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot worse things, but you know what I mean.
No, definitely.
I have I don't know if this is legal, but I'm going to tell an embarrassing story about my wife. But I was right there, so I think it counts. One of my favorites. I can't even tell this story with her present because she still feels so embarrassed about this. But we're online. It's just her and I. We're online to go to the ferry in San Francisco to take you to Alcatraz prison, right? And we bought tickets, and they just line you up, right, kind of by where you buy tickets. And then they say, okay, this group is going to be on the next boat. Go walk over across the parking lot to the entrance of where the boat docks, or where the boat, right by there. So everyone starts walking in that direction. Now, mind you, there's no seats on this boat. It's just a go on, stay on the boat, and it takes you to Alcatraz. So when you get to there, there's a line that goes, like the turn goes back and forth, right? Whatever the path is, and there's someone there. So it's, we get there, and everyone's just kind of walking up and down this thing to get to the front of the line, or just to get to where they are in line. And some people start realizing, well, I could just go under this thing or step over this thing instead of going back and forth. It's no big deal. And we're all going to the same place at the same time anywhere. There's no reason to get in front. But so we start doing this, and we realized we kind of went ahead of people by doing this, and they start going ahead. And I remember even this woman that was with them, we hear over here going, well, everyone's just cutting the line, I guess. Okay, we'll do that. We just hear her say that. So we get online, and this woman who said that is about 4 spots in front of us. And she turns around and looks right at my wife and goes, bitch, and then just turns back around. And my wife goes, did she just call me a bitch? Like, is it because of the line? I'm like, I guess so. I don't. She's like, we're going to the same place. I'm like, I know. It's weird. She turns back around, this woman, looks right at my wife and goes, bitch, and then back around. And my wife is like, I've never seen her get so mad so fast. She's like, is she kidding me? Like, we're going on the same boat. We're going to the same island. There's no reason to get on the boat faster. This is ridiculous. And she's saying this obviously loud enough so this woman could hear it. And again, the woman goes, bitch, and turns back around. And that was it. My wife pushes past. I've never seen her be confrontational since I've known her. She pushes through people, goes right up to that woman's face, goes, look, I'm sorry if I've ruined your time by somehow jumping the line. I mean, you're in front of me anyway, but are you really going to start something with me right now and keep saying that just because of a stupid line to get on a stupid goddamn boat to this island? This makes no sense. And the woman looks at her and goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And she goes, you're calling me bitch. And she goes, no, I'm talking to my brother Mitch. And there's a guy 3 spots behind us. Mind you, Mitch is a mentally disabled man who has not been able to catch up with his family. So he's embarrassed to go ahead. And she's saying, hey, Mitch, Come over here. It's okay. So she had this absolute freak out in front of everybody and then had to walk backwards. She was crying on how embarrassed she was.
Oh, that's spectacular.
Oh man.
Best story.
You just pour that embarrassment all over me. That's great.
Amazing. It was amazing.
Something similar happened to me doing a theme park show. I think I've told you this story, Shomer.
Just assume you've always told me the story.
I have. Go right. Yeah. So, it was a show where you had to bring volunteers on stage, and in the in the third part of the show, the third room of the show, you brought people on stage, and they would perform Foley for movies, right? So they replaced the sound of sound effects in the movie, and everybody would, okay, you're over here, you're drumming on this, you're the sound of horses, you're over here, you're hitting this, you're doing the punches from a movie, and someone else would be doing ADR, which is dialogue replacement, and they say some lines. So I'm hosting this theme park show. There's 400 people there or whatever, and I'm getting volunteers, and this couple who are mentally
say the right words.
What's the word now? They're
mentally disabled.
They're disabled. Yeah, they're disabled. They have special needs.
Okay, that works.
They have special needs, and they're in their 50s to 60s.
You can't say that.
They come on stage. They charge on stage. They're like, "You never pick on us. We want to be picked. We want to do the thing." And I was like, "Okay,
yeah,
all right. I have to find something that they can do, right?" So the stock thing is to take them over to where all they have to do is drum on the thing when the light comes on, and they're the horses from Seabiscuit or whatever, right? So I take the guy over there, and the girlfriend of the guy, I guess they're a couple, yells on stage in front of all these people, "We don't want to do that one. They always make us do that one. We want to do the one where we can say something." And she's screaming at me. And I was like, "Well, listen, everyone's volunteering. This is where I'm putting you." No, we always do that one.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, okay. So I take the guy and I put him on the ADR thing so he gets to say the lines when the light comes on, right? She's in the audience. No, she's on stage behind me. They get to the part, his light comes on, says nothing. Nothing happens. And she goes from stage, she goes, "He can't read."
Oh, God.
Man.
He can't read. He doesn't know how to read. And
oh no.
So I had nothing else to do. I had nowhere else to take him except the finale part, which is you are supposed to roar, right? Your light comes on, you're supposed to roar. And I take him over there. The roar doesn't happen, right? He doesn't roar. And this is part of the gag. Then you put him in the booth. It's shadow play. A monster comes up and pretends to eat the person that's there. So I take this special needs adult. I take him into the booth where he gets eaten by a monster. Gag it. They're eating a guy, and he got it coming to him because he thought he was so. Well, it's a special needs guy who got attacked, and my director was in that show, watching, taking notes.
Oh, perfect timing.
It was fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah,
audience work is that's just it's guaranteed to have, especially if you do a lot of it. The improv show, the touring show I was on for a while, we would play those short form improv games where it was like really quick, fast paced games, and we would go out into the audience and hold out a bucket of different thing to show that we didn't plan even what game we were playing. The audience would pick out of the ball, like a piece of paper. Or we're going to play like freeze tag or so whatever game we were going to play. And I ran out into the audience first. It was the first part of the show, and I held out. I said, "All right, now let's pick a piece of paper right here, sir. Right here. Whatever you pick is the next thing we're going to do." And he's just not moving. I'm like, "Sir, just pick one piece of paper. Let's go." Nothing. Guy next to him goes, "He's blind." And I'm like,
Oh shit.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm like, and I just by instinct, I take the guy's hand and I push it into where the bowl is, and he's trying to find the piece of paper. I'm sweating. I'm like, I can't believe, I felt so embarrassed. And then another person taps me on the shoulder and says, "Sir, I think you're really seriously hurting his dog." And I look down and I'm standing on the throat of this seeing eye dog. On the throat.
Oh.
The thing was so trained not to like move or say anything, right? That it literally just was on its side with its tongue hanging out and its eyes bulging out while I didn't even feel it under my foot. So now I've picked on this blind guy and I've almost murdered his dog, and just to get an impression. And then I got to do a whole show after that.
That's that's not only embarrassing, it's just a crime against humanity.
It's a crime.
Yeah, that dog was never the same.
No, traumatized. Well, there are plenty of embarrassing moments with stand-up comedy too, when you try to do crowd work. Like someone heckles you and then you try to get back to them, but people don't understand what you're saying, or they don't get your accent, and then it backfires.
Yeah.
You go into this little hole of embarrassment.
Well, I feel like I've seen there's a lot of videos online now of like the reactions to being heckled. Like some people seem to like, there's some stand-up comedians who I feel like have gotten known for how well they respond to being heckled.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I almost wonder if it's like people go there to heckle those people now, knowing that that's what they do. That's half their shtick, is to come back at the heckling.
Possibly.
I went on to a open mic once when I first moved to Chicago, just right out of college, when we thought we were like, the group of guys that I was doing improv with thought we were the shit. We thought everything, there wasn't anything we could say that wasn't funny to our audience at college. So then when we got to like this professional stage at Improv Olympic in Chicago, where improv is like at the height of what it could be, is Chicago is the city for improv comedy. Going right into an open mic night, which is basically where open mic for improv is just they play improv games and anybody could come up and play them too. And almost always it's students of the classes that are, that they're taking at that place. They're just doing, practicing their craft or whatever. And I walked up there and I did this first scene, and it was exactly what I would have done in college. And it didn't get a sound, not a laugh, nothing. Right. And I stepped back from that scene and another one started, and I couldn't believe that had happened. And then my name got called again. I stepped forward and someone in the crowd goes, "Oh, great. Not this guy again." He said
Oh
loud.
my God. Oh
right?
my God.
And he goes, "This guy sucks," like that. And everyone heard it and everyone laughed at that. But now I have to go into this scene. Mind you, I'm also pretty wasted too, because again, this is how it was in college. So it's got to be the same here too. Right. And I did the scene, no laughs. And I turned to that audience member. I don't even know where he was. And I go, "Well, how much did that suck, asshole?" Like starting a fight with this guy from stage in this packed room that I'm now have just moved to Chicago to perform at for who knows how many more years. And I just walked right off stage, out the door, right past, it was right in front of Wrigley Field, and went right into a random bar and ordered a shot and just sat there saying, "I don't know how I could ever do this again."
It's hard to recover from those.
It's crushing. It's crushing.
Oh,
It's hard to get back on that stage after any kind of heckling, any kind of embarrassment from everybody.
Well, I'll tell you something embarrassing. I'm a cheap ass and I have 4 minutes left on this Zoom. So
that is very embarrassing. Well,
what do you got?
God, I can't.
You about to say something?
Oh, me? Oh, no. I was just going to say one of the most embarrassing moments of my stand-up career happened last year, because I went to Canada to perform. But right before I went on stage, I had some Indian food. So I started sweating like a pig. And then the light on the stage was right above my head. So I sweat some more. And then my first 3 jokes went well. And then the 4th one didn't. And then from that point forward, I didn't do well. But my sweating was being seen as also like me feeling embarrassed for bombing. So people didn't laugh at all. So that was like a very embarrassing moment. I just want to share that.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Do a volume 2, because I've got some poop stuff.
I don't know if we could get into. That might have to be its own podcast. Just poop. I did go. I went on a blind date once. A friend set me up, and on the way, it was in Chicago. On the way taking this subway or the L train there to wherever her apartment was. Mind you, I had no idea. I'd never met her before, but I was going to her apartment to just pick her up, and then we were going to go to a bar. And I decided that I was going to smoke a clove cigarette for some reason. Right? My downstairs neighbor smoked them. I liked the smell of them. She gave me a pack of them. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna feel cool or whatever it was, smoking a cigarette, waiting for the train to show up. Except I inhaled every single puff, thinking it was like a cigarette. And when I got to her door, I had just enough time to say, I'm not staying. I have to throw up. And I said, I have to go. And she goes to the door, and I threw up in her hallway, right outside her door, like right to the left of her door. So she knew that was my puke right there on the floor.
Damn.
And never saw her again. That was the whole date.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Was she hot?
I don't remember. All I remember is thinking how sick I was.
No, that's a no.
Yeah, it's good. I would have made my way back.
That's right. Remember my bachelor party, the guy that threw up that was making out with that one girl at the Hard Rock Cafe or Hard Rock Hotel. He's like super drunk, and he's like it's a bachelorette party, and he's making out with this girl in the bachelorette party, and he turns and he pukes in a trash can, and he turns back and grabs her, and then goes back into making.
Oh no!
I think you were there.
Yes, I do remember that.
We were observers.
I was the guy.
Damn.
Daddy wasn't.
That's right.
Oh man. But you know that guy did not feel 1 ounce of embarrassment there.
No.
We felt embarrassed for him.
So let's give it a good old Supreme here, because we're about to zip out.
Good to be back.
Good to be back.
Likewise.
Good to see you guys. We'll do it again soon.
Supreme.
Supreme.